Hello, everyone, and good evening. I'm Maura Page, the Employer Relations Manager in the Career Center at Hood College. The Maryland, Pennsylvania College Career Center Alliance is excited to welcome you to tonight's event, our Career Fair Diversity Panel, which is a pre-prep event for our September 29th Fall 2021 Career Fair. The Alliance includes Dickinson College, Gettysburg College, Goucher, Hood, McDaniel, Mount St. Mary's, Muhlenberg, Notre Dame of Maryland, St. John's, and Washington College. A quick housekeeping note, please be sure to use the Q&A feature on the webinar to enter your questions. Alan Jones, the director of the Career Center at Notre Dame of Maryland, and I will be checking the questions, and we will share them during the Q&A session later in the program. This evening, our Hood College Vice President of Community and Inclusivity is our moderator. Her name is Tammy Simpson, and we're excited that she has agreed to do this and to share the questions with all of our panelists. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Tammy. Thanks so much, Tammy.
Thank you, Maura. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tammy Simpson, and I am excited to be here with you. I'm actually new to Hood College. I've been here for about a month and a half, and I'm just really excited to be a moderator for this panel. We believe that these wonderful panelists assembled this evening will be able to provide you with helpful information and practical tips and strategies for navigating the career fair next week and beyond. So I'll just, for housekeeping purposes, I'll start us off with some questions for the panelists. And you are invited to submit questions even now and throughout our panel discussion. And towards the end, we'll try to get to as many questions as possible during this session. So with that, I'll introduce the panelists and then ask the first question, which will allow them to kind of expound upon their own biography for you. So the first person is Don Caltagirone, who currently serves as the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Watch Commander for the area port of Buffalo, New York. Then we have Ro Falcone, who joined EDSI, which stands for Educational Data Systems, Inc., in 1998 and currently serves as the Director of Strategic Partnerships. Then we have Chip Blankert, and he is a talent recruiter with the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, where he develops relationships with FEMA staff sections and people in career transition to find the best fit for both. And then we have Kristen Merrill, who is a member of the T. Rowe Price Associates Global Talent Acquisition Team and serves as a senior early talent partner and campus relationship manager. And so with that, I'll start with the first question for our panelists. If you would, provide an overview of your own unique career journey. What was the value of networking, skill development, and reaching outside of the box? And you can take one of those or all three of them. So I'll start with the person who's on my left corner, which is Chip.
Okay, Chip Blankert with FEMA. I'm going to cover the networking side because I have been networking probably since I was 6 years old. And the key thing is building relationships and talking to individuals, let people learn how to help people and learn how they can in turn help you. Because when one of the philosophies I always followed was a philosophy called giver's gain, where if you help others, others will in turn help you be successful. And I transitioned out of the military when I retired in 2003. Every single job I've had since I transitioned was all as a result of networking and building relationships. And sometimes that relationship didn't give me that job until 2 years later when I'm in one job and I get a phone call and say, hey, we want to hire you to run this program. I know you're not looking right now, but we'd like to talk to you about coming in and take this job because of the relationships I built to help other people. So even my job at FEMA was as a result of helping other people be successful. Wounded veterans, which are definitely a diverse demographic, I was helping them, and they turned around and said, no, you need to start looking for yourself. We're tired of you helping us. You need to look out for yourself for once. So networking to me is the key, building those relationships to help you be successful in your career transition.
Thank you, Chip. And
You're
then from there, I have Ro on my right.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Ro Falcone with EDSI. I'll hit on the reaching outside the box and my unique journey. So after graduating from Dickinson College, so hello to all fellow Dickinsonians, I was coaching college basketball. And then I made the logical career progression into workforce development, which is not logical at all. And so for me, it was looking at what are the transferable skills, recognizing that in order to continue to coach college basketball, I really would have to move around the country. And at that part of my life, being in a relationship and close to family, I didn't want to do that. And so I took a chance with an organization called EDSI, which in 1998, we were in 2 states and had about 50 employees. And now after 23 years with the organization, we have over 950 employees and we're in 9 states. And so part of my journey is just kind of saying yes to different opportunities that came along. And that's something that I think is really critical, is just taking a chance and doing things, even if it's quote unquote not in your job description. So thank you and welcome.
Thank you. And let's see, my bottom left is Dawn.
Good evening. I could actually cover all of them actually, but in the job that I do for Customs and Border Protection, but I'll look at skill development for me. Our job and our responsibility in order to advance national security, we span all across the United States and into other countries. So skill building is something that's very important for the work that I do. We also have to always stay ahead of the threats that impact the United States. And with that, we have to be innovative. We have to be open to new solutions, new technologies in order to protect our country and our borders and the communities that we serve. So skill development for me has been something that I've always worked on throughout my career, whether it be communication skills, language skills, technology skills. That for me is very important to be successful in order to protect our country and to move forward this great nation.
Thank you. And Krista?
Thanks so much for having me here. I appreciate it. Hi, I'm Kristen Merrill. I'm part of the early talent and campus recruiting team at T-Rowe Price. I see many familiar names in the participant list, so excited to see that. I'll take a little bit of a different approach and just mention my own career journey, not to go through it in its entirety, but I actually grew up in Chestertown, Maryland, right down the street from Washington College, and attended a lot of basketball games, and I kind of grew up on that campus. I didn't attend Washington College for school. I actually played field hockey. I was a college athlete, so I was recruited to another university. But when I was going through school, I was hoping to find really something that I was really passionate about in terms of identifying a major, and I ended up majoring in marketing. And my dream job was working within a marketing or advertising agency and building up brands and being able to create a brand impression for different companies. And my first, to Chip's point about taking an opportunity of just saying yes and continuing the networking, my internship that I had in college, which I was fortunate enough to get, was actually with a financial advising firm. And while I was there as a marketing intern, the recruiter left halfway through the summer. And so the head of the firm came to me and said, would you help us screen and source resumes? I had no idea what I was doing, but I said, yeah, absolutely. And I figured it out, and I had a lot of support. I asked a lot of questions. And I had said, as I was continuing to grow in my internship, and then as I was nearing graduation, I thought I really want to focus on marketing. And every position that I saw that was posted was really looking for marketing majors, was really focused on sales. And I did not want, sales was not where I wanted to take my career. Well, 21 years later, I've grown my recruiting career. I stayed in recruiting as I transitioned out of school and have worked for some really incredible organizations. And in recruiting, my job is sales, but I feel like I'm selling something that people want, right? So a lot of it is creating a brand impression and educating students and universities about T. Rowe and what opportunities we have to offer. So I would lean back on the initial comment of just say yes to an opportunity. And oftentimes when you navigate through different opportunities, oftentimes the ones that maybe you don't particularly care for, the experience you don't particularly care for, can be even more defining in your path, because at least you've tried it, you check that box, you say, okay, I'm going to go in a different direction. So definitely say yes and walk in with open eyes, open arms.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just a basic question, I think, what major or majors best match with your organization or company? And maybe I'll go backwards and we'll start with Kristen for that one.
Yeah, so we are, T. Rowe Price is an asset management firm. So the core function of what we do, our clients give us their money to invest in their behalf, and we charge them a fee for doing that. And what they're paying for is us actively managing what is typically long-term retirement assets. So I would say the majors that I think are assumed that we're looking for within T. Rowe Price are finance, accounting, economics, and that's very true. But the one thing that I will mention, and oftentimes what we're educating on campus, is T. Rowe and FEMA and EDSI and Customs Border Control. They're looking for, I'm sure, looking for a variety of different majors, and cast a wide net when you're thinking about applying to different companies. Oftentimes we'll have conversations with students who say, I'm an accounting major and I probably don't fit into your company, or I'm an accounting major, I know I have to go into an accounting firm. And we were mentioning this yesterday, Nike has an accounting department, Under Armour has an accounting department. Whatever industry you have a passion within, you truly can apply your major. So thinking critically about that. But we're open to all majors because we're looking for individuals to support a variety of different corporate functions.
Thank you. And Dawn?
Yeah, definitely agree with that comment for Customs and Border Protection. The majors that we need: administrative and management, even audio and visual production specialists for communications and public affairs, accounting, entry specialists, human resource management, budget analysis, clerical administrative supports, accounting technicians, law enforcement, obviously criminal justice. We also need attorneys, accountants, chemists, contract specialists, engineers. The list goes on. So I definitely concur with the comment as far as open up your scope of the majors that you've selected, because large organizations have large needs and they're very diverse needs. So you can definitely fit in. We even need safety and health occupations and also nursing. So we carry a lot of skills, and it takes a lot of people to complete our mission. So definitely think out of the box with your major and you can find a fit.
Okay. And Ro?
I will echo the sentiment of both Dawn and Kristen. I think they articulated really well that we don't look for any particular major. We hire for culture and train for skill. And so it's really important that someone comes in with, fitting our culture. And so we are open to all majors and welcome the opportunity. And we don't look at background. So even if you think, well, that's not, I never did this before, don't limit yourself. And so I would really encourage you. I never did workforce development, and now I've been in it for 23 years. So keep an open mind.
And Chip?
I'll agree with everyone else. And one of the things I'll share with you, definitely think outside the box, because when you start thinking about going to a job, one of the first things I learned when I got to FEMA 6 years ago is I was waiting to interview for a position. I was talking to some people at another table, and I learned about some positions in a section called Environment and Historic Preservation. We hire people with history degrees. We hire people that are archaeologists. We hire people that have biology degrees that don't want to be in biology, because every time a disaster hits, it impacts the environment and it impacts historic sites. And, when you're in history class, because my cousin was a history major, she got told the only thing you're going to be able to do is work for a museum or teach. No one ever told her she can turn around and go work for the federal government and actually evaluate the impact on a historical site from a storm and get very good benefits and make a great salary. So you got to think outside the box. You got to do that research on the company. Where will my skills and where will my major fit? Because every major has a place, just like Dawn and Roe and Kirsten said, every major has a place because every organization, we have 23 different major sections within FEMA that are all looking for different backgrounds. So look at the organization, do some research to find the one that's going to be a fit. And like Kirsten said, follow your passion in whatever your industry is, because they're going to have the jobs you're looking for. You just have to look and network with people through like LinkedIn if you don't know anybody with the company, and talk to people and do informational interviews to find out where you're going to land the best.
Thank you. And so I'll throw this question out to anyone who wants to answer. What is your company or organization doing to attract historically excluded groups to your organization?
I'll jump in if that's okay. I think first and foremost, we're partnering in the community. So when we recruit in the community. We also recruit for and join the African American Chamber of Commerce, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and so we recruit from different entities. I think the other thing is that we encourage people to be their authentic self, and we promote that throughout our staff. And I think that's really important. If you were to go on our webpage, we have personal videos about our leadership team. For myself, as a member of the LGBTQ community, I think it's really important that as a leader in our organization, that I am true to myself and authentic, and that I share that with all, so that people know that coming to EDSI is a welcoming, inclusive environment. And we want everyone to know that coming in and to feel really good about the opportunity to work at a company like EDSI.
I'll piggyback off that as well, because within FEMA, and I know CBP has the same thing. We have federal employee resource groups, which are tailored around specific organization individuals that fall into different ethnic categories or age categories or orientation categories. And we work with them very closely to develop our recruiting plan. We actually advertise on the Hispanic Latino Professional Association website, on the Professional Diversity Network, which is 27 different diversity organizations, and AARP, which is 62% of our FEMA employees are over the age of 55. So there's definitely some definitely that when you start looking at companies, they work very strongly in building those relationships. We just had a huge event with the Hispanic Latino Employee Resource Group today, where actually our administrator and deputy administrator came on board to the event and talked to the employees to find out what do we need to do to help promote what you're doing. Because when we go out into the field in FEMA, just like CBP deals with, we deal with a wide variety of people, because everywhere you go, you're going to run into different ethnic groups, different socioeconomic groups, different ages, different orientations. You're going to run into them. And if you don't have the staff on board to support that and to work with those communities, you're going to fail. And we know that. And that's why we work so hard to make that happen.
I would say, kind of like related to that question for anyone, is there anyone at a high or mid-level in your organization who is focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion?
So I'll jump in there if that's okay. So at T. Price, our associates are why we're successful. We have an intangible product, and really it's the focus on what we're doing to create opportunity for our clients. So we have a DEI leader who we brought on board, who is focused on all DEI initiatives, including the oversight of our associate-led business resource groups. So we have 4 as an organization. Sounds like others on the panel do as well. And it's something that our associates can volunteer for and lean into, whether you identify as any of the individuals or any of the profiles within the 4 business resource groups, or you're an ally supporting them. So we have Mosaic, which is our ethnically diverse business resource group, Pride, which is LGBTQ+, Valor, which is our veteran and military Veteran and Military Business Resource Group, and then WAVE, which is our women's resource group. In addition to that, we also created over the last couple of years the Black Leadership Council. Black Leadership Council within the firm is at our executive level and senior management committee level, and it's comprised of 16 Black African American associates in senior roles across the organization that help support and complement our DEI strategy as a whole. So from a top-down approach, diversity is who we are and what makes us successful, and it is supported at every level within the firm.
Dawn, did you want to add anything? I don't want to.
Yeah, so as far as CBP, same thing, we are supported from the top down, and our diversity, equity, and inclusion program. We have an all sides heard, which our step process is to build respect, understanding, tolerance, acceptance, and celebrate each of our differences, and understanding that everybody's unique cultural differences and experiences make us stronger and better. So we definitely do promote a diverse and inclusive workforce. We have task force for women, which is marketing to recruit and retain females in our organization and reaching out to other diverse groups in order to expand and grow even more, understanding the importance that diversity brings to the organization and to the communities that we serve, who are very diverse. So it's definitely supported from the top right down.
And this is sort of related to actually Kristen's answer. So if anyone wants to add, that's fine. But are there employee resource groups for employees of different backgrounds and with different interests, such as Black, Hispanic, Asian, American Indian, Pacific Islander, LGBTQ+, veterans, those who are disabled, women, young professionals, etc.?
As I alluded to earlier, we have all of those, plus we also have a tribal group, and we have the seasoned employee resource group with those that are more seasoned in their years. And kind of the joke with them is everybody's eventually going to join the seasoned employee resource group, because as we progress in our career, we become seasoned. So we're looking at it across the board, because it's such a, it does make a difference when we're dealing with the population as a whole. We go into a disaster site, we'll run into areas where we'll run into groups of people that we didn't even know were living in that area, and we have to be able to communicate effectively with those individuals. So we have to have these groups in place to be able to have resources within the agency and pull from those groups to get the individuals in place that can help those disaster survivors.
And the next question is, how has campus recruiting changed, and what have you seen that helps further the efforts of diversity recruiting?
I can jump in terms of, we've been going back, particularly to Dickinson, to hire for the past 20 years. And so for us, I think last year was different in that we had an employer-led panel. We have about 5 women, 4 of which are human leadership positions, that did a panel. And so we wanted to approach it a little bit differently, in that we really wanted to educate and be able to promote EDSI as a great organization. I think in the past, we just said, oh, come and interview with us and put our name out there. And we took the opportunity to answer questions and to really explain the great opportunities that one can be afforded if they join our company. And so for us, that proved extremely successful. We hired interns, we hired different individuals. And so for us, I think being more around the education piece and taking the time to do presentations and sessions, I think is more valuable, even why I'm on this panel today. And I can't wait to get back on campus and look forward to that as well.
Anyone else want to chime in on that?
But I would echo that, and would add that our traditional campus recruiting strategy, which to Rose's point included information sessions and posting opportunities for on-campus interviews and attending career fairs, are all they're supplemental to what we're transitioning to, where we really want to meet the students where you are. And a lot of that is supporting your development. And whether that's in the classroom or being able to have a trusted advisor as part of a discussion where you can see how what you're learning in the classroom can be applied to real world exercises, application events. So our strategy has shifted pretty significantly. And in addition to that, we have grown our school set, and we definitely focus on recruitment from a variety of different universities and specifically HBCUs. But what we try and do and also reinforce is that there's a large diverse population at many universities that we're partnering with. So our strategy now is we have a diversity acquisition team that focuses primarily on HBCU recruitment, but I'm also partnering very closely with them so that we can expand our diversity recruitment strategy at our core and focus schools, which includes all the schools that are in attendance today and next Wednesday.
One of the things I'll say we've done is we looked at the students that are coming to us, and sometimes we have individuals that don't quite have the experience we need to bring them on board. Well, in the past, the way it was always handled is, well, get the experience and come back to us. Well, we already partner with an organization through the National Civilian Community Corps called FEMA Corps. They're not our organization, but they're designed for 18 to 26-year-olds to give you a year's college stipend for a year of service, serving with FEMA, working day to day with individuals within FEMA and learning how to get the skills and getting the skills which fully qualify you for employment. And in the past, it was always, oh, they're a separate organization. We can't talk to the people they're talking to. But I changed that because that's exactly who we need to be talking to. Because if we can't help you get the job you need today, let us help you develop yourself so you can get that job next year. And I think all the other organizations are doing the same thing because they have the development and the internship programs to bring in the young talent to give you the opportunity to work with us. We have to give you a path to do it. We can't just put you out there on your own and say, hey, you're on your own, figure it out. We have to work with organizations that can help us build those paths for you. And that's one of the big changes we made as an organization, is working with a sister organization we already work with. And we just never looked at it from that perspective before. And it's been very successful for us. We're up to the point where over 75% of the people that complete that program get hired by FEMA as full-time employees.
Dawn, were you going to add something?
Yeah, to add to Chip's comment there, CPP has a pathway program for paid internships opportunities to identify those students that, you know, come in and get the experience and see all we have to offer in looking to hire down the road, you know, once they complete their program. So we definitely do, you know, look at these opportunities, for one, to expand our diversity and inclusion programs, to get the word out there and to reach those talented individuals in those areas, to make sure that we're getting talented candidates for the future with the internship programs that we have and the different availabilities of that. So definitely reaching out there. I'm actually part of a task force for women group who we do have a recruiting section that goes out into the community and markets for our hiring efforts, but we also are looking to make sure that we're hitting every area and reaching as many qualified candidates as we can and making sure we're building a diverse, inclusive community moving forward for CBP.
All right, and this next question is related to disability. Does anyone have any suggestions on when a candidate should discuss a disability and at what point, you know, in the process?
I can go for that one. As far as CBP, we have a selective placement program coordinator who deals specifically with applicants with disabilities. So we encourage right from the start to have that conversation, to reach out to that coordinator. There are two processes that you can use. There's a competitive process that you would compete with all, or there are selective accommodation processes, which would line you up with specific jobs based on some of your needs. And you would work with that coordinator to identify those types of jobs that are available for you that you could come on board with CBP and start helping us with. So there's a a lot of opportunity. Like I said, we have a lot of support positions. We have a lot of legal positions. It's not just the frontline officers. CBP is very extensive in our needs and the skills that we're looking for. So definitely encourage, anybody with disabilities, to come on and take a look at what we have to offer. We definitely welcome it, and we need good people. So.
And I'll echo what Dawn says, because we have the same programs. We have our individual that works specifically, then Christopher Pugh. He also works with our veterans, because there is some overlap between the two markets. But the key thing with it is in the federal government, you need to disclose that right away, because there's special hiring authorities that can get you in the door quicker. And if you don't disclose that you qualify for those, you can limit the amount of time it takes to get you on board. You could end up, instead of taking 4 to 5 months to get hired, you could shorten that down to 6 to 8 weeks. It just depends, but you have to have the documentation and you have to be willing to share that information. Some companies that might not be the case, but definitely with the federal government, you need to let us know that from day one. Because I got hired at a diversity hiring event for disabled veterans. It was 100% disabled veterans hiring event. I didn't apply through USA Jobs. I went in, I brought my disability letter. I had my resume. They looked it over. They saw I was qualified. I interviewed for 3 different positions. 2 days later, I got my offer. So there's definitely some streamlining to the process if you know it's out there. And if you don't know, you reach out to people like Dawn and myself, or go in through the website for the agency, or even the Equal Opportunity Employment Commission website will have the contacts in there for all those specialty recruiters that are working with people with disabilities. So use the programs that were designed to help you be successful.
And that's what this panel is all about, right? It's sort of like educating, our students so that, they can, be better equipped to take advantage of these opportunities that you guys are talking about that they wouldn't have known about otherwise. So I think it's very helpful. I don't know if, anyone else wants to add, Ro or Kristen, if you wanted to add anything.
I would just say we don't ask that question in our application, but we do have accommodations for individuals with differences and disabilities, and it's something that we're keenly aware of. And it's protected information, and at the appropriate time in the process is when you would be able to share that with our HR team.
And I would just echo, as a private employer, very similar to what Kristen said, and we do make accommodations and we appreciate transparency. And have hired folks with disabilities and welcome all to EDSI.
Thanks. The next question is geared towards, should a student ask about a firm or organization's DEI efforts in an interview? And if so, how could they go about it?
I think just how you asked it. So I would say, I think it is important. I think, for all that are looking to join companies, understanding the culture, understanding the inclusivity is really critical. And so I would welcome that question to be asked. And so I would encourage that. And when you look at the culture, I'm sure you all do Glassdoor reviews. All of that is really important. So I would recommend that if that's something that's important to you, then by all means, you need to ask the questions.
Ask the question, and also it needs to start even before the interview. When we do hiring event or presentations, we bring in reasonable accommodation folks to provide signing during presentations and signing during job fairs, because not everybody can speak, especially since we're in a virtual environment now. If you can't communicate with somebody, it's very difficult, and we want to make sure you know that. But even that reasonable accommodation starts at that job interview. If you have a need for a reasonable accommodation that's going to impact you applying for that job or doing that job interview, you need to tell them, I need someone to be there that can sign. I need someone that can be there that does whatever the case may be. So that way you have the best chance to project yourself in the best light by having an individual that can help you be successful in your corner as a neutral, representing you to make sure that the interviewer understands what you're saying and communicates effectively with you. And like I said, that starts from the interview process on, because I've had numerous times where I got a resume from somebody, and when I sent them the email, they came back and said, I need reasonable accommodation during the interview. This is what I need. And we make it happen, because that's It's required. Number one, it's required by law. Number two, it's the right thing to do to make sure that person, it can have a fair and equitable chance on getting on board with the agency.
Kristen.
I was just pivoting back to the research and asking about what a firm or company's DEI strategy. Absolutely, I agree with Ro. I would encourage it. Oftentimes, when we're chatting with students about doing your research, preparing for an interview, it's more than just going to the corporate website to see where the company is located and how many associates are there. It truly is understanding how are they supporting their associates? Are the associates and the employees able to bring their full self to work? Is that supported? And you can see that through their talent acquisition strategy, but also what are their retention strategies? Do they possess business resource groups where you feel as though you can find a community? And oftentimes, it's not lost on us as recruiters and those who support early talent that when you're in college or an undergrad or master's program, you're surrounded by a cohort of individuals that either your class or people that you've gravitated towards. But oftentimes when you transition to the workforce, it's kind of a sink or swim and you find them on their own. And I think it's important to, to look into organizations as you're researching organizations, to understand how are those organizations supporting you to find a community, whatever that community looks like for you and where you're tied to. I think Glassdoor is a great opportunity and a great resource and platform to do that. We're going to get some authentic feedback. I would also encourage you to see if an organization has an Instagram page. We find oftentimes that via Instagram, whether it's videos or whatever the case may be, oftentimes Instagram is where you can find more about corporate culture as opposed to LinkedIn, where you're actually connecting with associates and seeing job postings. So I would add that Instagram may be a good resource as well.
That's excellent. Let me, before Dawn, I jump to you for your answer. This is probably me showing my age, but two people have mentioned Glassdoor, and I just have no idea what that is. So maybe there might be one person in our audience that might want to know the same thing. So could someone explain what that is?
Ro, do you want to take that one?
Sure. So Glassdoor is a site that the employers are kind of rated, everything from CEO approval to the interview process. Actual candidates can give their feedback on the interview process, as well as employees will give comments, will offer kind of their opinion on the organization as a whole. As I mentioned, everything from leadership to benefits to compensation. And so you get a pretty honest view. You know, have some naysayers always, but I think if you look at ours for the most part, it's really positive, and we pride ourselves on that. So I think it is a forum where it is honest in communication. Kristen, add anything that I may have missed, please.
I thought that was perfect, and it's crowdsourcing. It's a crowdsourcing platform.
Okay.
Feedback.
No.
That's the marketing major in Kristen using the correct terms. So I'm going to steal that
You
one,
got
Kristen,
it.
for the future, but crowdsourcing, yes.
I mean, I hate to skew on this, but I mean, like, is it also fair that maybe some of that information could be inaccurate if it is just based upon someone's perception? So, you know, it's like, obviously they should, you know, maybe use that, but also obviously use some more traditional resources as well in there. When they're
Without a doubt. I mean, as I mentioned, you may have one or two or a few that had negative experiences. I think what you can see is trends, though. If you're looking on a Glassdoor, they do a percentage and a rating. And so that kind of, I think, balances out. It's just one means. It's not the end all be all. And I would definitely say that to continue to use more traditional methods and even just website.
Dawn, were you going to add anything in relation to this question?
No, just, the question about asking about the diversity and inclusion for CBP, asking a question like that, you show you're the individual that we're looking for. Just those people skills, those understanding, that's the individual that we're looking for. We deal with the people on a daily basis, have to have those individuals that, are able to be respectful. And that is important as it is to us. One of our priorities is to invest in our people. So we want to make sure that we have those candidates moving forward. And that's a great way to set yourself apart as that individual that we're looking for.
And Tammy, if I could just add one thing, just in terms of underscoring this research and how important it is for students to research an organization. I think LinkedIn is also a great opportunity. There are oftentimes that, in addition to looking at Glassdoor or Instagram or the corporate website, it would be great to even connect. I would recommend connecting with someone on LinkedIn that may be an alumni of your university or your college. We have alumni groups within the firm that are really, really passionate about their alma mater. And I would argue that anyone would be willing to talk to you about their experience and give you the perspective that they have working in the organization, having come from a similar background where you're coming from. So I would leverage LinkedIn as well, but really for you to help support the expansion of your network and also your alumni network from your college.
Thank you, Kristen. And I've just got a few more questions, and then I see some questions coming in. So I'm going to pause to say, definitely, people should feel that they should, start, typing in those questions so that we can, get your questions answered. So this question, a couple of questions related to international students. Does your organization or company offer CPT, OPT opportunities for international students?
I'm happy to jump in on this one. So T. Rowe Price, we're a global organization. We have about 7,800 employees globally, and we have offices in 16 countries around the world. Our global corporate headquarters are based in Baltimore. So from a recruitment perspective, and my early talent team, we're a mighty team of 4. Most of the work that we're doing from a summer internship recruitment perspective or a full-time perspective is domestic focused. So with that, we are looking for individuals who have the ability to work and remain in the US. And so oftentimes we're not sponsoring employment visas, even with the OPT. But that being said, we are working on a program, given that we are global, to be able to attract the best talent that we have within many of the university partnerships and collegiate partnerships that we have, including present company included, to be able to offer opportunities to interview here. But then if you're interested in returning to your country of origin or another global or international site, we have the ability to do that. So we're working on that, but that is something that we're keenly aware of.
Does anyone else have any, or maybe like even, do you work with contractors who are able to employ international students for internships?
I'll get in on this one. FEMA's one of FEMA's requirements. Everybody has to have at least a public trust clearance, so they have to be a U.S. citizen to come on board. However, in some of our language interpreter contracts, which are separate from you're not a FEMA employee, you're working with that contracting company. We can bring people, I shouldn't say we can't, I said that company can bring you on as a non-US citizen because of the need to support with that language skill, but you're not a FEMA employee at that point, you're an employee of that company, and we're not involved in that hiring process. That would be looking and doing the research to find out what companies are contracting with FEMA to do those contracts. Because federal government, different agencies have definite requirements as to what your citizenship has to be in order to come on board with the organization. I think Dawn probably has some similar situations with CBP because we're all part of the Department of Homeland Security.
Very much so.
Okay, well, thank you guys for that. So just some general questions like, what are some things that students, can do to prepare for the career fair next week?
I think we all hit home the importance of research. And so I would say to educate yourself. I know for us, we have tons of videos about what we call it the painted picture, what the future of EDSI looks like. And so I would encourage you to also understand, for us, our core values are key. Show up, smile, support. They're pretty easy. They're simple to remember. And understanding that and during the career fair, how to articulate what those core values mean to you and how you would embody those, I know is critical for anyone that is interested in EDSI. So I would just say to do your research and really to be your authentic self and just be who you are and have the confidence in yourself that you'll have the opportunity to meet a lot of people that it's a job seeker market. And so have that confidence going into it.
one of the things I'll share, and I just put a link in there, OPM does a great video on how to write a federal resume and what it is. A federal resume is entirely different than a resume for another company because your resume is your first interview. I always call it a paper interview. And you have to meet all the minimum requirements of that vacancy announcement that's contained on USA Jobs. So if you don't build your resume and know the organization, that research that everyone's talking about, you have to know, are they looking for a 1 to 2 page resume, or do I need to build a full federal resume that's going to be maybe 5 to 7 pages long? You have to know that up front, because if you go in with the wrong kind of resume, you're not going to be successful. You come to us, FEMA or CBP as well, with a 1-page resume, it's very hard for us to get you qualified. You're going to have to do a lot more research. But if you go to other organizations with a 5 or 7 page resume, they're going to say, I don't have time to look at this. So you have to understand the market that you're going after. Go right back to that marketing class that Kirsten had. You got to understand the market and how to sell the product, which is now you. Everybody in here has now become a marketing major. Congratulations, because you have to show that organization that you're the best candidate. So you have to understand how to market yourself to that organization.
And I would add, I think that's a great point, Chip. I would also add, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. The reason that we are all here today on this panel and have the opportunity to speak is because we have connections with your Career Services Center. So that is definitely a miss that I had when I was an undergrad. I didn't go and I didn't work with my Career Services Center. And I felt as though I'm thankful for where I landed, but I was reinventing the wheel. And so oftentimes when we're posting a position or we're looking for candidates that, very specific majors, I would highly, highly encourage you to contact and connect in preparation for next week's fair. Connect with your Career Services Center first. You all are doing the right thing by attending a panel session on your own time. So maybe I'm speaking to the wrong audience, but make sure you share that it's important to connect with Career Services, and maybe look at some of the organizations that will be attending the fair and map out a plan of who you'd like to speak to. Go onto their website, take a look at what opportunities they have. And if you are really interested in that organization and you're not seeing the opportunities that align with your background, maybe visit them anyway and ask, I peruse your resume, too much in recruiting, peruse your website, really interested in your organization, but I didn't see that you had a summer internship opportunity available. Is that something that you're hiring for now? And if not, you can at least walk away with connection with that organization. So leverage your Career Services Centers. They are amazing. This group in particular is a fabulous partner for all of our employers, for all of us employers.
Dawn, were you going to add something?
Yeah, and for CBP, I definitely would encourage you to go on the cbp.gov careers and really take a look at all there is to offer. And on that, we also have the programs for disabilities, as well as the veteran support and hiring for that, and our internship program as well are in there. So I definitely encourage you to do research and go on there and kind of focus on, some of the areas that you feel that you would be best aligned for. And definitely I encourage, you all to ask, the diversity and equity and inclusion for our organization. And I think you'll be happy what you find.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the final question is, what do you consider to be the most important skill, or perhaps that's plural skills, that, our students will need for potential, employment or internships?
I would say that the most important skill is being able to identify where your strengths are, but also articulate where you're working to grow your skill sets and to grow your experience. We're in campus recruiting early talent. This is an opportunity to start your career and then be able to grow and develop. And growth is really what I'm looking for from someone who maybe had an experience their freshman year, it didn't go so well. And what did you do to ensure that that didn't happen again? How did you look at that, analyze it, and then take a different approach the next time? I'm looking for growth. So any opportunity that you can share where things may not have gone perfectly, which they never will, hardly ever, being able to articulate that and be able to focus on where your strengths and where your opportunities are.
And I would say that we're really looking for individuals that take initiative. I think as we are now in this weird dynamic of a hybrid schedule, we have some fully remote. We believe in hiring an empowered workforce that can take initiative. We use the term FIO, figure it out. And so I think when you are preparing, having examples of when you took initiative and how you can work independently, because again, in this world, as we are transitioning, I think those are things that we really value and appreciate. And I also think that initiative is going to afford you the opportunity to progress in your career. And so just recommending that there's a focus and that you give very specific examples of that.
Chip or Don?
For CBP, we're definitely looking for, those people seeking higher education and learning, always looking to grow. We're looking for self-starters, people with innovative minds that are always not settling and looking to improve, moving forward to the future, visionaries, looking to see what that bigger picture is down the road for our agency. And we're also looking for those go-getters, but people who are adaptable. With our organizations, things change, trends change, the community threats change. So we need to have people that are adaptable, but we also need to have people that have good communication skills. We're dealing with the community every day. We're dealing with people from every inch of the world. So it's just incredible, the people that you meet and the opportunities that we have for you. But those are people that we're looking for. We're looking for people with those skills. So definitely encourage all of you.
I'll agree with Dawn on that as well, because we're definitely looking for those go-getters. But the one thing I will share with you in relationship to internships at FEMA, they're advertised through USA Jobs in January. And when those links go live, they usually close out within 24 to 48 hours because we've hit the maximum number of applicants. So you have to be very proactive in being prepared for when that happens. You got to go into USA Jobs and search it every day. January 1st, you should be looking at USA Jobs every day, putting in Federal Emergency Management Agency internships, seeing what's going to be available next summer. But then if you know it's going to be difficult to get that internship, come up with an alternate plan. Do I want to look at a FEMA reservist position? Do I want to look at FEMA Corps? Where else can I get that experience outside of working with the federal government? Look at it. There's also student volunteer programs within almost every federal agency. It's just a matter of engaging in that conversation with someone that works with the organization, such as myself. That's why I put my LinkedIn information in there, because you have to engage with people and build that relationship with them, network, like I talked about in the beginning, and find that opportunity out there, because they're out there, but those aren't going to be advertised. Those are going to be ones you have to do some digging on your own. And that's the skill we're looking for, is that people can go out and find it without having someone just say, okay, just go here, click here and put your name in. Look to build those relationships to find the jobs you're looking for.
Tammy, if I could just add to, we're a human service firm, and we, every day you have a chance to make a difference in someone's life. So we want individuals that have a passion for helping individuals, that have empathy, and that really care about making a difference. And that's something that has kept me in this at EDSI for 23 years. So when we look at that, empathy, caring, and a passion for making a difference in someone's life.
And I think that when we have, go ahead, Dawn. I'm sorry.
One thing I just wanted to add to Chip's comment about the USA Jobs, I definitely would encourage you to go on there and set yourself up with an account on there, because you can set your preferences where they will alert you when those opportunities that you're interested in come about. And that will help you to get that jump start, to get that application in there and get your interest seen. So definitely would encourage you to start now and get that set up so that you're getting those notifications to keep you on the fast track.
In line with that, and I think going back to the career services contact recommendation, I think they would all your career services center are aware of what our timelines are. I actually didn't know about the federal timeline, so that's really interesting, Dawn and Chip. For us, we're actually recruiting now. So we're in the throes of
Yes.
campus recruiting season. We're interviewing in the next 2 weeks. We'd like to have offers out by the end of October. When I was in school, I had absolutely no idea what a fall campus recruitment cycle looked like. So connect with career services so they can share with you what each organization that you may be interested in, what their application process looks like. I would also mention, don't be deterred. Every conversation is a great opportunity to continue to build out your network. But if someone says, no, unfortunately, we don't sponsor students on OPT, there are companies that do, and you have to find them. I used to work for a large consulting and accounting firm, and we absolutely sponsored interns and individuals who were transitioning to OPT, and then sponsored their employment visa. So don't be deterred, have that tenacity and just that initiative that Ro had mentioned to continue to explore opportunities where your skill set will be the right fit and your contributions will be impactful to an employer.
Absolutely. Well, those are all great. And I know that some of our students have questions. And I don't know, Maura, if you want me to ask those questions or if you're going to come back and ask those questions. But I did see some early in the Q&A that someone asked when we were first getting started.
Sure. I'm happy to read them. The first one is about from an international student who is in a master's program for information technology. And I think Kristen covered that. It really reach out to your individual career centers because they do have insight into companies that are offer CPT and OPT. And if someone else wants to throw in, but I think that question got answered in the process. The second question was, how does your organization make efforts to include the diverse and disabled? Can you give an example?
Does anybody want to take that question?
One of the things I was talking about earlier is we're working with the Professional Diversity Network, which is not only the 27 different diversity organizations, but the Pro-Abled Network is part of that. And those are individuals that have physical disabilities. We also work with the the VA, with other federal organizations to do specific disability job fairs. And I'm going to share a picture, which I shared during our presentation and turn my camera off. This is one of our FEMA employees that responds to disasters. Let me just turn my camera. I'm sorry. Let me just turn my picture off so you can see it. This gentleman responds to disasters for us with FEMA. This one of our emergency vehicles in the background that we go out and do our mobile command centers. Every one of our mobile vehicles is equipped to handle someone with disabilities. So we take reasonable accommodations very seriously because it's not just the FEMA individuals we have to provide a reasonable accommodation for, but it's the disaster survivor, our end user that's using our product. We have to be prepared to have a facility available for them to be able to use too. So we are actively bringing on a very diverse workforce, and disability integration is huge in that, and hiring those candidates, because only people that are living with these challenges are the ones that can help people that understand that. Most of us can't even fathom what it's like unless we know a family member that's in that same condition. So you have to have the people on the team that understand how to do that, because that empathy is huge in helping someone who just lost everything in a disaster.
Anyone else?
As I had said, we do, for CBP, we do have a selective placement program coordinator, and their job is to work with applicants with disabilities and identify those jobs that they wish to pursue. So we definitely do support, as well as the veterans, Wounded Warriors program, the Veteran Support Program, and actually in 2020, over 10% of our new hires for the officer position were from the disabled veterans, where we were able to positions for them and get them into our organization. So.
All right. And I'm sorry, go ahead, Rob.
I was just going to state, in our line of work, we run American Job Centers. We're in Pennsylvania. They're called Career Links, and we have a strong presence and work with veterans as well as OVR and other partner organizations. Across the board, 17% of our hires are our clients. And so we do hire individuals from those populations. So I think that's a way that we also make a concerted effort to be inclusive.
And then the next question that I see is, I imagine this might be directed maybe towards Dawn. Are there any criminal justice departments that allow teens to get experience in the field?
There are internships for high school students, and we also have CBP Explorer programs where those high school kids will come in and they will work alongside our personnel and learn the job, learn some of the skills that we have, and in the hopes that they will want to pursue that as a career, we offer that mentorship program. We also go out to the communities and we do law enforcement for the day, where we will work with the community centers and bring those kids in and talk to them about our jobs and what their responsibilities are, and some of the things that they should think about as far as, avoidance of activities that could impact them moving forward down the road, trying to get hired in a law enforcement position. So we do have those opportunities for high school age children. And also, we also go into the younger groups with our law enforcement officer for the day programs.
And then I think there was a question. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kristen.
No, sorry, I was gonna add that is great to hear, because I think oftentimes, as students are coming into college now or into universities, they're expected to know what they want to do, and a lot of times they're seeking opportunities to gain exposure to a career path, and I'm seeing it earlier and earlier. So with that, I would also mention that financial services firms like T. Rowe and others, we're in the Baltimore, Maryland area, and so there are other employers like Under Armour, McCormick Spices as well, that we partner closely with, and we host a high school senior encounter. So it's specifically for high school seniors, and this year we open it up to a virtual experience to include juniors as well. It's a 3-day session that can be expanded upon a little bit later in the summer, but as you're a rising freshman. But anyone who is still in connection with the high school, I think it's a great opportunity to explore some of these experiences that provide you exposure to a potential career path.
Absolutely. And I don't know if this question was answered. It may have been, but it was a question related from an archaeology and history graduate who said, what skills would be useful to learn early on to get a government job with FEMA? So go ahead, Chip.
Well, I've actually put that in the chat. I addressed it to him. I talked about what they do in that job, which came from one of our slides on that. And then the desired qualifications we're looking for, all the different degrees, everything from history and architecture to ecology, engineering, cultural resources, historic preservation. They all apply to that. And the key thing is just to ask and have that question. Another thing I'm going to share with you about that is when a federal job, when they're looking for a particular type of degree, they'll initially accept your unofficial transcript, but do yourself a huge favor, request a copy of your official transcript up front and have that available, because if you don't want to get into the interview process and have them say, I need your official transcript, then contact the school and find out it takes 3 weeks to get it. And sometimes it's longer, because I had applied for a position, a educational program that I wanted to go into. And one of the colleges I went to, now this was years ago, they still are not automated on their system. They had to manually go into a warehouse and pull my transcripts, which took 4 months in order to get my transcripts. I missed the deadline. And if I would have known they needed an official transcript, I would have requested it long before that. Now I have that in my folder as something I need to prepare in case I have an opportunity in the future. So understand what they're looking for. And like I said, I gave all the information in there, and I can even put you in touch. If, like I said, my LinkedIn information is there. If you're interested in going into one of these career fields within FEMA, reach out to me on LinkedIn, because I'll connect you directly with someone who works in that section that you can do an informational interview with and say, Linda, what does it take to be a historic preservation specialist in FEMA? What should I be looking for? What should I do? And she's also the hiring manager. So you're actually getting to talk to the person that's going to eventually review your resume to help you get on board. And we do that for a reason, because you can't be prepared if you haven't talked to someone to know what's available. You can also take free classes through the Emergency Management Institute, not to take away from the colleges, but FEMA's Emergency Management Institute has a class that you can sign up for free on environmental and historic preservation. It teaches you everything about the job and distance learning. So you can do that research up front and learn about it before you even apply to the job to make sure it's the right fit for you. And that applies for every category within FEMA. I know CBP probably has some things as well. Theirs might be a little more sensitive because some of it's law enforcement sensitive, but look and ask the organizations, talk to the recruiters that are here from T. Rowe Price and from EDSI, find out what programs they have that you could take a class for or to learn a little bit more about it, because that's how you're going to be successful, because you're showing interest in the organization and you're learning about what you need to do the job.
And I
And
see.
I'm gonna jump, oh, sorry.
No. I was going to say, I saw from Alan's reminding people to register for the fair next week if you haven't already done so. Go ahead, Maura.
That was all I was gonna do a verbal plug for, so thank you for covering that.
Okay. And if there aren't any last minute questions, I mean, we'll give it another minute in case someone has any additional questions. Okay. Or any, closing thoughts from our panelists, and then we'll end it there.
I would just underscore what Chip had mentioned in reference to connecting on LinkedIn. I think any opportunity that you're attending these virtual sessions, or even in person when we get back to some sort of normalcy, that you have the opportunity to engage with employers or representatives. It is a missed opportunity if you don't follow up to connect with us on LinkedIn. You already have a touch point with us. And I would say the candidates that are the ones that resonate with us are the ones that have a touch point with us anywhere between 3 to 5 times through the course of a semester. So this is one touch point for you. The career fair would be 2, and maybe a follow-up with your career services center to reconnect with us would be 3. So I would encourage you, as Chip mentioned, just connect with us on LinkedIn. You may not need us today, but maybe there's something down the road that we could support you with.
And I would just say you're already ahead of the game. Like Kristen, I didn't take advantage of the Career Service Center, and hindsight's 2020. So you already took a huge first step by being on this panel, and I commend you for that. And hope you attend our, the career fair next week. And also, please visit your career service centers.
And Maura, can you tell our audience how they can register for the career fair?
Yes, the career fair is in Handshake, and it is listed as the fall 2021 career fair. It's you may see that it's under Gettysburg because they're the school that put it in, but it is the Maryland, Pennsylvania College Career Center Alliance that that's hosting it. If you have any questions about that, just reach out to your individual career centers, because we all have the links. Alan did put it into our chat box. And remember, it's a 2-step process. You register, but then you go in and you create your, once you register, you're able to open up and create your schedule for the day. And you can see all the employers. At this point in time, I think we're at 98 employers for next Wednesday. It keeps going up. It closes tonight. So we have close to 100 employers. So there's lots of opportunities. So don't miss it. Another thing, just to let you all know, we are recording this panel session. And so we will share it with the individual schools. So you'll be able to see it. We'll also have it up on our Hood College Career Center YouTube channel also. And I just want to take a minute to say thank you to Tammy and Ro and Dawn and Kristen and Chip for taking time, and Alan and all of our other attendees, but our panelists and our moderator, because they took time out of their evening to share all of their thoughts and really helpful tips. And we just really appreciate it.
I have one other thing I'd like to add, Maura, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you reach out to someone on LinkedIn, one of the tips I'll give you right off the bat, don't just send a connection request. Add a comment to us. Let us know where we met you at, because that goes a long way. And number one, making sure that we can affiliate you with this event. But another thing is it's more professional when you say, hey, I met you with this, or I attended your presentation on this, because that shows that you're actually paying attention and you're not one of these people just clicking on everybody they can on LinkedIn to get connections. So take the time to remind us that we met on this panel today. So that way we can look at it and say, oh yes, I definitely want to talk to Kendall because Kendall was in the class today and she asked a really great question, or whoever the person was. So take the time to do that, because it really goes a long way into starting to build that relationship. Remember, Kirsten said 5 touches. Well, that's a touch right there when you start to make it more than just a connection request. Provide us with your name and how we met. So thank you very much.
That's an excellent point. And I guess so I'll just kind of close it out, unless Maura, you had another comment, but I was going to say on behalf of the Maryland, Pennsylvania College Career Center Alliance, I want to thank our panelists for your advice and your practical tips, and also, for sharing your experiences in transparency. I think that was so helpful to the audience. And a special thanks to Maura Page and to Alan Jones, who put this program together. Just a couple of things to mention is that this is the 2nd year of the virtual career fair. And as Maura mentioned earlier, several colleges are participating, so I'll mention them again really quickly. In addition to the 2 from Maura and Alan, it is Gettysburg College, Muhlenberg College, Mount St. Mary's University, McDaniel College, Dickinson, Goucher, St. John's College, and Washington College. And just some final thoughts and reflections based upon what I heard today. One of the practical takeaways that I think was emphasized a lot was, basically to be prepared and to do your research. And some other things that I've heard is basically take a look at the website, right? In terms of, if it's welcoming or not, what is highlighted, what's emphasized. And certainly, from that, you can draw what's not there. Other ways to think about, finding out that information is, what do your peers and classmates say based upon their experiences? What do alumni have to say about organizations or firms that, that they work at? And of course, as already been mentioned, your career counselors, such as Maura and Alan, are great resources for you. So again, preparation is key. Do your research. Think ahead about, next week in terms of what you're even going to wear. Where you're going to be conducting, these informational sessions. What does your background look like? How does your audio work? Is it working well? So if you're prepared, you're going to go into these informational and potential interview sessions next week with great confidence. And that can lead to potential employment or an internship. So with that, just good luck to everyone, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.